Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lorelei Shamayo, and this is MeWe Fairs for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest and many online, and we interview our practitioners and vendors so you get a chance to know who we are before you meet us at an event. I'm excited today to be here with Christine Becker. Christine, it's lovely to be with you.
Thank you. Aloha. Nice to be here.
So tell us, what is it that you do? What do you offer at our events?
So I am an intuitive energy healer and also a galactic Akashic record reader. So I offer healing modalities and readings, intuitive and galactic readings, where I'm also diving into your starseed origin. That's very exciting, a new service I'm offering.
Yeah, so say a little bit more about Galactic Akashic Records and Starseed offerings, and those are newer things that probably people aren't as familiar with.
They are newer, and I was very excited. And I'm sure, like many people, like for me, I'm a starseed for most of my life. I kind of felt I'm not home. And I was always traveling, and I lived all over the world. And even when I lived somewhere, I knew I was not going to stay there. It wasn't my home. And so many of us are actually, our souls that are here incarnated on Earth have actually had many lifetimes on other planets outside in the galaxy and beyond. And so deep within us, we have the memory of that. And now is a good time where many of us are remembering who we are or who our real star families are. And I think, it's really important to allow the memory to come back, because that gives us that feeling of home. And it can also explain a lot about ourselves, our personality, our life, our preferences, our struggles. And there might also be trauma that needs to be healed from other incarnations on other planets. And there might also be skills that we still carry with us from other, galaxies or other planets that we can bring now, to help us in our life.
So, how do you sense this or know this about people? And are you mostly explaining and teaching them and helping them see for themselves? What does this look like?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's different ways that comes to me. So one thing is I sometimes just get that I might read their frequency, just being with a person where I'm like, I'm getting the feeling they are from the Pleiades, or they are more from the Sirius star system. So it's certain characteristics or just the frequency that I can pick up on. And sometimes I actually go into the Akashic records and get guidance from the records on some of their other lifetimes. And then I get clear visuals of maybe what they look like or what the life was like. That is very different from Earth lives, or I can just sense the planet looks different and there's different planets or suns on the horizon. And so that is right now my preferred way of going into that, to give them as much information as I can gather at the time.
And most people watching will know what the Akashic Records are. Is there anything you want to say of just the way you think of the Akashic Records, or?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there's many different opinions out there. The Akashic Records is basically a storehouse of information about everything that we have ever experienced, said, done, or received in any and all of our lifetimes for everybody and everything in the universe. So I see it as a massive storehouse of data. Some people call it the book of life. Some people call it a library. It doesn't really matter, whatever image resonates. This is also how people go differently into the records. Some say they go in a library, open a book. For me, I kind of more visualize it more as like an energy flow that I connect to. It's almost like your browser history. So yeah, it is a collection of everything that has ever happened, will ever happen. And so that can be accessed to give us guidance in this current moment if we are not sure which way to go or how to deal with something.
Mm-hmm. And how did you get started doing all these things?
Great question. Well, like many other people, I was a very intuitive child that was told to forget about it. And then it took a really long time. I think when I was in my early 20s, a friend of mine took me to a Reiki training, Reiki 1 training, and I had no idea what Reiki was. Completely, she's like, you have to do this, come. And I'm like, okay. And I had a very intense, beautiful experience. And I knew, there was also that remembrance of like, this is something I know. This is familiar. This is something I have to do. And then for many years, I didn't really become a practitioner for a very long time, but I had spontaneous moments of mediumship or strong intuition. And I would say it was, but I didn't make it into a profession. Like many intuitives, they're like, well, that I have my real job and then I do this on the side. But then somewhere around in the pandemic, I was very much already steeped in yoga and spirituality, healing, etc. And I was like, I really want to embrace these gifts more. So I started to learn the tarot, learned about energy, astrology, crystals, the aromatherapy, and I really dove in and got my Reiki master. What else did I do? So I did a lot of things. And the galactic part actually only opened up when I realized I'm very connected to my guides, but I don't have an image. Because many people say, oh, my guide is so and so, they have a name, they look like that. I'm like, I know they're there, I talk to them, but I don't know what they look like. And then it dawned on me that maybe my guides might not look like angels and fairies. And so I did put myself into deep meditation, really opening up to meeting my guides. And I definitely went traveling through the galaxies and meeting guides that look very alien. And I was, at first I was like, you're my star family, you look kind of weird. But then I embraced it and I'm like, well, I'm so happy to connect. And since then they really started coming in. And that's when my interest in galactic history and galactic origins was really fired up. And I just inhaled all the information and ended up taking a course with Debbie Solaris on galactic Akashic record readings. And that's why I'm here now.
Great, great. I just, your business name is Nourish, and some of what you described of your history may make sense of the name Nourish. Do you want to say a little bit more of like what Nourish means to you?
Yes. For me, nourish means really giving us what we need on a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and vibrational level, right? What we need versus what we think we should be doing to take care of ourselves.
Great. Well, if people want to connect with you on the web and learn more, where do they go?
My website is ChristinaBecker.com. And you can also find me on Instagram. That's at Christina Becker Nourish. Should be easy to remember.
Great. Well, so exciting. I'm excited to experience more of your work myself and have more people be able to connect with you and be lovely. Well, thank you so much for being in the community.
Thank you, Lorelei, for having me.
You are welcome. And for all of you listening and watching, you can find out more about all of our events at mewefairs.com, MEWEFAIRS.com. Thanks, Christina.
Aloha.